Hello guys, it's your boy T the Anime, and I'm back doing another video. And today we're gonna be doing something a little bit new. Instead of like a normal Naruto video, we're gonna be reading a Naruto story. And yeah, let's just get on to it. I will try to find the link if you want to read it for yourselves. So if I find the link, I'll put it in the description. But yeah, the silent pitter patters of rain itched itself into the eerie pitch dark night. The pellets of cold, lifeless water, speckled, soaked through the clothing, enveloped over my body like a cloak. The dark, crispy, cold air, the undoubtedly feeling of cooling, burning sensation rushing through each part of my lungs, entering my body in fluid cycles every time. Each breath came out into round puffs of smoke that rise into the air before they almost seemingly disappeared forever. The surrounding area began to thicken with fog. The cold air became exponentially chiller every minute, growing even colder every minute. The pellets of rain grew fiercer as each drew faster than before. The cool H2O, grasped the cold dirt road easily, turning the filthy, polluted ground covered in garbage and grim to a mud puddle of filth. I stood silently in an alleyway, my back pressed up against the soaked wall, the smell of rain imminent no matter where I stood. My body slightly trembled in fear, the cold air and rain not helping, as I felt my wounds ache fiercely. The blood soaked through my clothes, mixing together with the rain, causing a water-blood base mix to land at my feet in puddles. My eyes were narrowed tensely. The hood of my jacket ran, covering my expression from the world to see, except my erratic breathing, the feeling of my heart rapidly banging up against my rib cage, the pounding of my skull more visible. My eyes blurred as I felt the familiar feeling sensation of being lightheaded. My pounding headache worsened as it caused the alley to spin alarmingly. My body slid down the wall fluently and almost smoothly. The rain blocked any noise or even sound to be heard. My ears could only pick up the slightest sound of clothes rubbing against the wall as I slid down. The outside world became lighter and dark clouds parted, allowing the gray moon to burst through, sending a flickering movement of light to appear in the fog and water. My shadow blending into everything around. I allowed my legs to sprawl out in front of me, sensing a feeling of relaxation overcome me, but faded as I dreamt on what caused me to be here where I am now. The sounds of people talking evident with the walls of Konoha. I could hear everyone so clearly. The happy talk of adults rekindling friendships and chatting about their day. Children running amongst the streets, laughter filling the air. I could feel the cheerfulness of everyone and everything, even with it being today. I was Italy sitting by on top of one of many buildings in Konoha, watching as life went on in the village. However, I knew it wouldn't last, especially since today was the anniversary of the Kyuubi no Kitsune being defeated. It was my birthday. I quietly sat with my knees raised up to my chest, calm breaths leaving me in a rip to my heartbeat. My eyes narrowed into emotionless stare. I watched people set mini games and food up in various places. People readying themselves for a night of festival and some grieving, even on many parts of both. Children happily clenching their parents in happy smiles, adoring the beginning of what will be a festival. Everything was so disgusting. I hated every single moment. I loathed this day and what it was. 6 years today, the Kyuubi no Kitsune viciously attacked the village, killing many of its people. However, the fourth Hokage was able to defeat the fox and seal it away. Of course, I know who the fourth was, and where the Kyuubi had been sealed, naturally. When I was 3, I figured it out. As to celebrate this day, both of the heroic shinobi who risked their lives and set those who lost theirs without meaning a festival is held. The main event, the fox hunt. The fox, me. I was patiently waiting for the sun to completely set. Only when it commenced, I was used to it. Why don't I run? Simple. There's nowhere to run. Everyone makes sure of that. They block my exit routes from the woods to many ways out of the village. I was trapped in with a cage. I was trapped within a cage that I was sentenced to die in. An animal with only purpose but only to be hated. Once the sun was gone from the view, the festival where in swing lights glimmered in the oddly colder than it should be, almost pitch dark night. People happily enjoyed the festival, while many grieved with happy memories and the loved ones they lost, taking about what they had remembered most. I sat silently in the same spot I had been sitting in since the morning. My muscles grew tense and rigid with fear. My eyebrows furrowed in anticipation and what was to come. The feeling of helplessness and fear radiating from my body in waves of emotion. Without another thought, I stood and began to run. I ran for my life. I ran to survive. All was a laughable joke, however, because the moment it had leaped from my spot, I was snatched from my running position, forcefully lifted into the air by my hair. A cry of pain instantly escaping my lips. My hands instinctively raised to the man's hands in the attempt of getting him to release me. However, I knew it wouldn't do any good. Oh, planning to make this fun with a chase. Well, sorry to disappoint. Tonight's event is going to be even straight to the people without delay, the shinobi said. He began to drag me by my hair, causing me to scrunch my face into bitter distaste. The feeling of my scalp being torn with each pull. He walked slowly to the edge of the roof before tossing me with extreme force. Instantly, I took myself into a fatal position in order to protect myself as much as possible. However, the moment I landed, I wasn't even able to allow myself to wallow in external pain as I was met with multiple kicks, punches, stabs, and hateful words. Dang, Fox, you're still alive? Die. Murder. Monster. Demon, you killed my son. I hope you find pain worse than what we're doing to you now. I could hear every word clearer than the last, each hitting me with a new stab to the heart. Everything hurt. I was in so much pain, my heart, my body, and my mind. Everything was being destroyed, yet the worst kind of pain was when everyone hates you and you don't know why. At least I was used to it. Now it's knowing I am being punished for something I didn't do. I am isolated from everyone and everything. I can't live without fear. Every moment I wonder if it will be my last. I eat in fear that I won't make it to see another meal. That maybe what little scraps I have of my last few feasts. The every thought I have is that my last depressing remain I'll leave behind in this body. I didn't understand it. Why was a 6-year-old fearing for something he didn't understand or know? For something no one gave reason to? Well, I didn't understand. After discovering why it was, and even as I reminded myself over and over, I knew why. But it was unfair. My train of thought was interrupted by the sound of my clothes being torn. My eyes widened in more fear, not knowing what to expect. What's with the silence treatment? You're sure good to share your screams? At least you can do after hurting this village is allow us to hear your suffering, the man yelled before he plunged a kunai into my chest. My shrilling screams have left my lips in a fluent motion as I began to move in the grasp of other villagers. I could feel, hear, and understand what was going on. They were carving into me words I couldn't make out, but words. I was crying at this point, shaking in many forms that couldn't be described in one word. Soon my voice ached, my body bleed and trembled. I couldn't do anything. I was too weak. Now, even after a cry of pain could leave my lips, even if so, I desired. Word after word had been carved into my skin like a canvas. Everyone stood back in appreciation to their work, yet it wasn't over. My dull eyes followed the next villager who approached me, his face flushed and a bottle of alcohol present. Before I could register what was going to happen, I was silently screaming in the air as the man poured the alcohol onto my bloody skin, allowing it to seep into the wounds. There's so that won't heal, you damn monster. My mouth changed as tears leaped from my eyes. The sky darkened in what it was to be storm clouds. The villagers was quiet except for the rumbling of the oncoming storm and the villagers around me. I accepted this to be over, but what they did, I hadn't expected. A woman suddenly lit a match from where out, I'm not sure where, and threw it at my body, causing me to burst into flames, mostly around the words that leaked in blood and the newly poured alcohol. I instantly began to roll on the ground, my voice finding itself again, and I let out a shrill shriek leaving my throat. However, before long, the rain came, pouring down heavily, putting the fire that had been only lit by the alcohol that was on my body. I was exhausted and slowly becoming cold, but thankful that the rain had set the villagers running for cover. This truly was the worst of all beatings I've had. I jumped up slightly, panting harshly. My skin looked even more deadly pale than it did before. The look of death washing over every part of me. The rain hadn't stopped or lessened, but it grew more. The wind had picked up, pushing their air to me. My body shook violently, and my fever worsened. I couldn't do anything but pull my legs up to my chest painfully. I still holding a hand where one of my many existings would have been. I began to drift off again, but this time it was only a half daze. I could hear and see the surrounding area, the harsh winds pelting the rain like needles, forcing my body to listen. I began to push myself up and off the filthy ground, causing my feet to splash ever so often in the puddles surrounding me. My burns and cuts, skin aching in need of treatment. It was unbearable, and any normal person might have kicked it by now. Yet I was determined to live, mostly to spit the villagers more than anything. I weakly managed to walk with the help of a wall, crawling at some points in attempts to make it somewhere safe to ride out the night, knowing it would be impossible to get back to my home, where who knows what awaited me. With that seemed like hours, I managed to make it to the woods, decided that any tree would work for the night. I crawled with that effort I had before collapsing on my stomach, attempting to pull myself toward the tree, but soon realized it was futile to go any further. A trail of blood followed me behind. The rain had stopped and their air had chilled, almost freezing. The rain from earlier freezing in some areas. With little effort that was left, I turned onto my back, staring into the sky, watching the pitch darkness, followed by the moon that hid behind the clouds. Yet something else happened I didn't expect, especially at this time of year. It began to snow. My body was still trembling with the weather, and I was sure I wouldn't make it to see daybreak. My eyes were heavy with need for sleep, and most likely because I continued to bleed out. So when I fell into another sleep, I knew I shouldn't expect to wake up at this point, and I was okay with that. And yeah, guys, this is where I'm going to be ending this video. If you guys like the story I read today, I'm going to read part 2 tomorrow, so just stick around, and yeah, peace.